Welcome to the coaching game. I'm Laurie Lawson, and I am so thrilled to have my longtime friend, Limor Tamir, on tonight. Hey, Limor.
Hey, Laurie, I miss you so much.
I miss you so much. We met in 2007. She hung out for 2 years in New York City, and then they went back to Israel, and I haven't seen her since. And I miss her so much. But we're going to talk about what she's been doing since then. And she has not been just laying around on the beach. She's been very so. Catch me up, Limor. What you been doing for since 2000? What 10?
2010, yeah.
Yeah.
So, in fact, we were in New York 2008, 2009, and then 2010 we left.
Yep.
We came because my partner, she was studying in Baruch College, and I came to heal myself from multiple sclerosis because it just happened in 2007, and I knew I had to make a change. I was told by the doctors that there's no, what do you call it? You can't fix it.
Sure. No
No,
cure.
no cure for MS. But I met this really interesting woman in Israel before I came to New York, Ilana. We spoke about her like 10 years ago. And she's a naturopath. And she gave me the tools. She said, if you do this and that and eat this and that, you will be able to stop this illness. And I was like, okay, what have I got to lose? The doctors can't give me the solution. So I'm going to just try it. And I did. And after about a year, when I came to New York, just before I came to New York, I had an MRI and it showed that the illness had stopped. So I was very, very happy. And this is the time when I was studying coaching in 2007. And I said to myself, hey, this is really, she told me to change a few behavioral things like autoimmune disease. Where am I attacking myself? Where is the conflict in my life? And I was trying to think, where was the conflict? And the conflict was because I was gay and I wasn't accepting that. I had all this mess for many, many years in my head, a big conflict. And I said, maybe I can do it also with other people. So we came to New York for 2 years, and Adi was studying, as I said, and I was looking for coaches and people to just hang out and do some things. And I had the coaching game in my hands because this Israeli couple, Yaron and Efrat Shani, they made this amazing game that you know about it for
That I
sure.
fell in love with. And it made me get involved with you, which I bless that. Bless it every day for
Right,
that. So
right. So yeah, I met you. I was very lucky to meet you. You were the head of the ICF at that time. And with open arms, he said, let's show me the game. Let's do something. And then we started to make a few workshops, and it was just amazing.
yeah.
So I had a very good time in New York. I had the time to heal myself, to rest, to have a few workshops with you, to have a TV show. I went to some exhibitions to sell the coaching games. It was quite interesting 2 years. And then Adi, she had her degree, and we had to go back to Israel. And in Israel, Ilana Rogel, the one that was treating me, she was waiting for us because Adi and I thought that this is an amazing idea that you can change your behavior and your illness stops. I mean, this is MS, it's a chronic disease, but just the fact that it stopped, it's good enough for me. So I've decided to coach people to heal themselves. There is this amazing encyclopedia that you know her.
I do. I
You had it. You have it in your house on green and gray matter,
We refer to
and
it
it,
often. It's amazing. Yeah.
yeah, it just gives you the source of the illness, the emotional source. And this is how I started to coach other people with this book.
But let me ask you something. I wasn't aware of the sequence, and I didn't know that you had just been diagnosed and that you had just met Ilana. And then
Yes,
were
just
you not
before I came.
afraid? Yeah, weren't you afraid to go, oh, I need to stay close to this lady because she's got the secret? Why on earth? Did it take a lot of courage to get to New York after that?
It took about a year since I think I was diagnosed in 2007 July, and I came to, in fact, I came to New York in 2008. So for about 10 months, I was around her. She only diagnosed me, and I was taping the conversation, and I could listen to the tape all the time.
Hmm.
And also, since I had a shop, I started to sell her book. Nobody was interested in her book. It was all like all this new age and what is this shit? Sorry, excuse my English.
Oh, no.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to have a few copies in my shop. And I started to sell the book in my shop. I had a wonderful shop.
Mhm.
And since I sold so many of her books, we started to be on a daily basis in touch. So we had, she was coaching me, in fact. Every time she used to tell, so are you still pleasing your mom? Are you still pleasing this person? Because if you're going to please people, you're going to be very angry with yourself. Then you're going to have autoimmune disease. So all these words that she told me, I did it for a few months in Israel. Then I came to New York with the book, and then I met you. It was all very new in my life, but it was very exciting. And when we came, in fact, she even came to New York just before we left, and she gave a lecture, and you were there
I
too.
was there. Yeah.
And we sold all the books in English. It was it was in the Meta Center
Mhm.
in New York.
Yeah.
So after that evening, we told her, Ilana, you have to have your own center. She says, when you come back to Israel, we're going to open a center together. So that's what we did. 2011, we opened the Lighthouse Center. Now it's been for 10 years. I'm running the place. Ilana is teaching. Adi is sometimes lecturing. Everybody, it's an amazing center. And we're teaching all these metaphysics ideas about what's happening in our emotional world before the body is reacting to it. So this is what we do at the Lighthouse Center. And in Israel, I'm also coaching other people with diabetes, Parkinson, MS, of course. So I have two hats. On one hat, I'm running the center in Israel, the Lighthouse Center for Ilana Regel. And the other hat is that I'm coaching people. And another hat that I didn't tell you, 2015, we have a daughter. Yuval has joined the journey. So she's 6 years old now.
Oh
She
my God.
wasn't with us. She wasn't with us in New York in 2008, but now she is with us.
Now, when I got to meet her when you came back for a brief,
Right. She was 3 years old. That was
what a
3 years
precious
ago.
child. What a person. And
Yes.
we're how fortunate to have such great parents. But so you decided, was this something that you felt you could only do in Israel? Or was it the connection with Ilana, that Alana, that you had to be close to her to do that? I mean, did you go back to do that? I want to know why y'all went back to Israel because I miss you.
First of all, we only had the student visa for 2 years.
Okay.
That's why we had to go back. Adi would stay there up until today. She would stay there. I went back because I really wanted to study all these ideas that she was talking to me about. I wanted to go through the course that she's teaching. So I
Right.
was at the first course. We were like 12 students. Like 8 of us were friends of Ilana and 4 other people registered. This is how we started. Now we have classes of 50 people, 60 people each class. But 10 years ago, it was just the beginning. And I felt like there's something there. There's a message that I want to learn it very, very well. And I want to pass it on. And I'm doing it now because I wrote a book um, last month. It came out.
We are going to talk about that for sure, even
This
though,
is my book. And
yeah.
in my book, I'm talking about Ilana's ideas, but in a very simple language. Ilana, she is a very metaphysics person. She has messages, spiritual messages. It's not easy to understand, but being with her for the last 10 years, I've learned all these, many of these messages, and I can just say it in simple words. What I always did with her, I would like translate her to the common people. So
Yes.
in my book, I'm writing about. You didn't ask me. I'm sorry, but I'm telling you.
No, I'm dying to know because I can't read Hebrew. So
So,
tell me.
we're working on it in English now. The book is talking about since I was young and how the conflict started in my life when I was 15 years old and I fell in love with this American volunteer on the kibbutz life. You know, kibbutz life is a communal life. And there was this volunteer from America, from New York. Her name was Amy. And she was the lifeguard. And I was like swimming at the swimming pool, 15 years old, swimming. And all of a sudden I realized that I can't take my eyes off her. And whatever she does, I'm like all over the place. I'm looking after her. I, and then I told her, she was telling me that she's a lesbian. Now, when I was 15 years old, I didn't have such a vocabulary like now. I knew I said, what is a lesbian? I thought maybe like there was Catholics and there's Protestants and there's Jews. Maybe there's also,
There's
I said, maybe
lesbian.
she's a lesbian. I told her, what is a lesbian? This is like Israel 40 years ago. She says to me, oh, a lesbian? I'm with women. I love women. I sleep with women. And I was so stunned. I was like so shocked. I write in the book like the Hiroshima bomb was falling on my head. I was like I'm looking at the lifeguard and I'm drowning inside of me. And since then, there was a very big conflict because I totally fell in love with her. She was 20, I was 15. And this is when I discovered that I think I'm gay too. But in Israel, 40 years ago, you couldn't talk to anyone about being gay. I mean, it was the beginning of the 80s. It was 79. New York was very big on the gay life. Then the AIDS came out. So there was all this against gays. But the 80s was, I mean, San Francisco, New York, it was all over. In Israel, I write in my book that lesbians, it was only on Penthouse magazine, Playboy magazine. It's not real people. There is a few gay men, but there isn't two women together. It's like, it's so patriarchalic. I don't know how you say this word.
Unimaginable. Just doesn't even
Yes.
exist. Yeah.
So I had a mother. I still have a mother. She's wonderful. She is very much old school. When I was 17 and I told her that I'm gay, because it took me like 2 years to realize it, to go to San Francisco, to be in a club, to dance with a woman, to kiss with a woman, sleep with a woman, come back to Israel and realize that I'm gay. When I was 17, I came out to my mother and everything blew up like the Big Bang. It was just hysterical. And I had to leave my house. And I went to Jerusalem and I met all these wonderful gay American women because they came to Jerusalem, all these Jewish American girls, you know, they were gay women. So I had all these girlfriends. It was very exciting. But then I felt very bad because I didn't speak to my mother and nobody would accept me in my family except for my sister. So I thought I should get married with a man. And I did it when I was 25. But that was a big conflict, Laurie, big conflict. I love women and I marry a man. And this is how the illness started to be created. You don't live what your heart wants, you live what your brain says. And every illness has a conflict. The heart wants one thing and the brain says another thing. You don't have to be with MS for that. It's every illness. Every illness has an inner conflict. So that's what I do with my trainees. We try to find out where is the conflict. When we find the conflict after half an hour, it takes about half an hour, what is the conflict of their lives, we start closing the gap in a few sessions. We change the nutrition a little bit. We have breakfast. We start treating ourselves like a human being. We don't like all over the place, you know? We rest. We listen to ourselves. We start to like ourselves. We accept ourselves. And then the illness mostly stops.
Now, are you saying that, okay, you're saying the head wants one thing and the heart wants another. Are you saying that you bring that together or do you eliminate one and concentrate on the heart? How does that work? I mean, because the conflict, I know you said you're bridging the gap, but how?
Okay. When you study with Ilana Rogel, you realize that the only reason you come to planet Earth is for emotional evolvement. And how do you evolve? Through your feelings. So this is a journey. The life journey is the heart journey. But when you enter planet Earth, you need to have a box with a little brain because you need to change, to give change in the supermarket. You need to look left, right when you cross the road. You need the brain in planet Earth. But what happened during evolution and life and comparing yourself to every other person, this one has this and I don't have, this one is very talented and I'm not. You start having these things that your brain is starting to run the show instead of your heart. So when the brain takes over and starts running the show, the subconscious doesn't like it because the subconscious says, I came to live myself, to feel myself, to fulfill myself. And I can't just listen to my brain because I came here to live my feelings. My soul chose to be gay in this lifetime. And I kept arguing with myself for like 30 years. But I'm gay. Why can't I accept myself? So I did. Lately, I did. In the last 20 years, I did. But the first 30 years, I didn't. So the illness, first of all, made me stop. And I think I told you in the other show, like 10 years ago, that multiple sclerosis, it talks about no communication. It's the nervous system.
Mhm.
So it means there was no communication between my brain and my heart. We are creating a bridge between the brain and between the heart. We're saying to the brain, you're very important. Thank you so much. We need you. Yeah, we don't want to be dumbs. But we say, but you have to acknowledge that there is a heart here. And the heart came first. So you have to let them express himself. So we create a bridge. We let the brain is not the king anymore. He's living with the heart. So we create harmony. We create harmony. We create negotiation between the heart and the brain. And
Wow.
then there is no, because the only reason that the illness happens is because there is this gap. So, you know, when there is a gap, something enters inside. If you open the window, there is a gap. You know, in New York, it says mind the gap in the subway. There is a gap. You can fall in there.
Yes.
Exactly. When there is a gap, the illness comes in. We close the gap.
Oh my God, what a great metaphor. We'll
You
close the
see in
gap.
English.
Yeah, that's
Laurie,
beautiful.
I'm so sorry for all the people that are listening to us now.
No,
I
your
forgot my
English is
English.
wonderful. I've always learned from you, so don't worry about your English. So the book called, is it Lesbian? Is that how you say it? Lesbian?
In Hebrew,
Uh-huh.
the word lesbian means lesbit.
Lesbian.
But in English, lesbit is less
Less
beat.
March. Oh,
Less beat, like in your heartbeat,
heart.
one beat is
Yeah.
less. Also in music, less beat, the sound is not accurate.
Mm.
Like something is not exactly less beat. So I write it in Hebrew, but with a little bit of a mistake. I can't tell you because you don't know Hebrew, but so when somebody looks at it in Hebrew in the shop, they would say like, "Oh, it has a mistake in the spelling," but
You spelled it wrong.
but
Yeah.
but it's on purpose
Uh,
because I had a mistake in my spelling of myself, you know, so that's why. And I'm talking about since I was a child and how it grew and how I fell in love with Amy and then I fell in love with this one and that one and this one and that one until when I was 22, I met this guy at 23 and I have decided I'm going to get married so my mother will accept me, so society will accept me. That's how it was 30, 40 years ago. It's not like today. It's so easy today. And I'm sure it's still not easy in some
no,
places.
no.
And then I'm writing here all my conversations with Ilana Rogel and how I healed myself. So that's why it's a very good book for everyone that has a conflict, everyone who wants to see. It's like a self guide.
You got to get it out in English. I'm dying.
Yeah,
This
I know, I
time.
know, I know, I know. We work. It will take a few months, but we
Yeah, of
have to
course.
find the name in English, everything, and Amazon, and it's a process now.
Yeah, but you're in the middle of it, which is fantastic. Well, since
Yes.
we're talking about gaps, I think that you and I can agree that 2020 had a hell of a gap. So, what do you, what's the philosophy behind that? We know the science. We hope we know the science. We hope we know all the other stuff. What's the philosophy? What are you and Alana saying?
Ilana is saying, and I'm telling you now, that just like a personal illness, that it comes to stop you. So you're gonna, how do you call it on ways when you start doing your way all over again?
Reform, redo.
Yeah, that's what happens with a person when they get ill. The same thing with the whole of humanity. Ilana says that the collective consciousness, you have a conscious, I have a conscious, the collective consciousness does not approve of where we're taking ourselves.
Mm.
And where do we take ourselves? Outside, to the way we look, to the how much money we make, to the how many likes did I get on Facebook. All the time outside, outside, outside. And we had to like have a big brakes, like in a car when you make a brakes. And we all just entered the houses and we're looking inside. we had to change something. We had to change something about education. You know, she's saying that so many kids are like, they have a, what do you call it? OCD, all kinds of things. They can't concentrate and this and that. She says, when you put these kids in front of their little games, they're very concentrated, they're fine. But when they come to school, they get bored. So because the system is very slow and their brain is very fast, the system has to change. So now everybody had to be on Zoom. Nobody went to school for months. In Israel, nobody went to school for about a year. Every country, it was a little bit different. It's as if our collective consciousness is making all this mess to create a new world. This is the era of Uranus, the next 2,000 years, Laurie. It was Pisces before. Uranus has uranium, a very explosive frequency. It comes to destroy the old world and to build a new world. So coronavirus is one of the things, and she's saying we might have a few more things waiting for us until 2029. In the next few years, things are going to be very, it's not going to be all, oh yes, let's go back to what it was. No, it will get back a little bit, but things will change.
I don't think we
Professions
can.
will
I don't
change.
think we can go back to the way we were. And I've been saying for the last year, there are blessings of the pandemic. We got to, first of all, you and I are getting to tape the show. I mean, before you
Exactly.
have to come to the studio in New York City, and I'd have to wait.
Exactly.
Here we are. But it also gave us a chance to slow down, like you said,
Slow down. Exactly.
stop, and just reevaluate. I remember, and someone, they do this coachy thing at the end of the year, and someone said, well, what is your goal for 2021? And I said, I think I need to redefine fun, because the things that I used
Exactly.
to do are not fun. And now I need to redefine, how am I going to have fun? Because fun's a major core value of mine. I want to have fun. So it sounds far out there, but I hear what Ilana is saying. Uh, and it worries
It's
me.
not against us. It's not against us.
Exactly. It's for us, and it's for us to use the time as best we can. Yeah.
Exactly. Look at all, so many people were so busy with career and everything, and it's okay. This is the times. But family, there was no families anymore. It was just people got to be together with the people they chose to live with. There was a joke in Israel the first time where there was a closure. Somebody wrote on Facebook, in the last 2 days, I'm sitting with this woman in my house, and we're having a very nice conversation. My wife is very nice. Like, we're getting to know each other because the pace was so fast. I mean, especially in New York.
Yeah.
New York got it very bad.
And to see
I
it
mean, to
slow
see
down
all the shops.
immediately was like
Wow.
a shock to the system. But we're adapting. We're adapting.
Okay, we probably want to achieve a big change, something good. So we had to do it. I don't take it as something bad. I don't take it as conspiracy. I don't take it as someone who wants to put a chip in my body. I don't. I take like I took responsibility for my own illness, that I've stopped myself to start a new life, to look at things differently. I feel like what Ilana says about the collective consciousness is accurate. And we're all doing our little work in our little lives, and it's all going to change. And if not, we're going to have another virus. And you see what Ilana says about COVID-19. She's saying it's what do you call it? This virus it's a consciousness virus, because they can't find exactly there's this mutation and another mutation. What do you call it? It
Mutate.
changes.
Yeah.
Mutation, because it's not something that we can solve with science. It's something that we are going to have to solve with consciousness.
Amazing. And if ever wellness coaches were needed, now is the time. Let's
This
get
is the
back
time.
this is the time, and thank God you were there doing what you're doing. But since travel is banned in a lot of cases, give us some resources. First of all, how can we find your book? Where is it?
Hopefully it will be on Amazon when it's English. It will take 6 months from now. And the guy that's going to put it on Amazon is going to do, I hope, some advertising and stuff like that.
Okay.
And Ilana's books, people used to get it from you sometimes, but now there isn't. So we can ship from Israel, Ilana's books.
She was talking about doing a CD of that because it's a big book. I mean, it's a coffee table book, which is a big book, but it's
We
beautifully
do have.
illustrated. You do
I
have
know,
links.
but you know what? I know she did a CD, but we're so busy with the center that we have no time to develop the book stuff, the
Mm,
CDs and all these
yeah,
things.
yeah.
And so we just left it. One day we're going to do it. The information is here. It exists.
Okay, give me a website. Where can we find you? Where can we find her? Because we have like 2.5 minutes left.
Okay,
I just want
okay,
people to be
okay.
able to.
So
I think you
Ilana
have
has,
so much to say. I want people to be able to hear more of you.
okay,
And they
Ilana has a page in the website in English, and I also have in my website a page in English.
fantastic.
Mine is just limortamir.com,
Okay.
and Ilana is Migdalor, www.migdalor.net.
And I'm gonna put that in be under the show when we do it because that Mig
Okay,
Floor I know is
Migdalor. Migdalor. Migdalor
extra
means
Latin.
lighthouse in Hebrew.
Yeah.
Migdalor. Migdalor means lighthouse.
Okay, so that's
Yeah,
www.migdalor.net.
yeah. And if somebody wants to have coaching with me, they can just turn to my limortamir.com. And I coach all over the world. I coach in America, in Germany, in Holland. I just do Zoom talks, and we have a little program of 4 to 6 meetings, and I give them the tools, and that's it.
Wow. Okay. So
Okay?
that's fantastic. Definitely. Yeah, because and it's just your full name. And let's just spell that LIMORTAMIR.com. And
Thank you.
so if you wanted some individual or if you want to continue this lovely conversation on collective consciousness and what the heck we're doing with it, I mean, that that's
You're so funny.
that's
I love you. I love your sense of humor. I always loved it.
I still have an email that you sent me where you filled in where things that I was saying that I laugh at. And when I need a laugh, I go see it. And when I need uplifting, I go see you.
Thank you.
I miss you. I miss you
I
terribly.
miss
I'm
you too. I miss you
thrilled that
too.
you're over there doing what you're doing because I think if ever there was a time that the more energy was needed and Ilana energy was needed, this is the time. So thank you
Thank you, Laurie. You're always so amazing with us. You're such an amazing woman. And the first flight we're gonna have to New York, I'm gonna come and visit you.
You better. You
Yeah.
better. Thank you,
Thank
Limor.
you.
We shall be
Bye
talking
bye.
again. Take
Bye
care.
bye. Thank you.
Bye bye.